Happy Spiritual Sunday! Everybody knows it's September 18th, but we know it's one more week until the cosmic new year. And I know people are just going to start coming online here from all over the world. The thing to remember, before we do our affirmation, maybe put something new in our heads. Kabbalah, especially as we teach it in the center because of the lineage. You know, there's a lot of people out there. When I started in the center in 1987, there was basically nobody teaching Kabbalah except the center. And of course, we used to get all the nasty comments, and you can't do this, you can't do that, and why you're doing this way, and blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden, like they say, imitation, right, is supposed to be the best form of flattery. In this case, not really, because this kind of information that's not from the true lineage of Kabbalists can sound very nice, but if you go back to the story of the Garden of Eden, how did this opponent, as we call it, or the serpent, how did it trick Adam and Eve to do the thing that began pain, suffering, and death? First, it was flattering, you know, you're so great, you're so wonderful, God created you, you want to be just like God, all these amazing things. And then, it sounds great, right? Do we not want to be like God? Do we not want to know everything God knows? Sure we do. So then what did it say? But if you eat of this tree, then you're going to know everything, because it's a tree of knowledge, good and evil. So it was, as they call it, 3 truths and 1 lie. And the 1 lie is what blew up the whole thing. Think of a chair. What would happen if right now, especially those of you who are here, you're sitting on a chair, 4-legged chair. Those of you out there in cyberspace, if you're sitting on a chair, how do you think you would feel, or what would be your response if suddenly out of nowhere, one of those legs just disappeared? Would you be happy? Yeah, because you know you're about to fall. So this is the power of the opponent. He gives us all this nice stuff, nice stuff, nice stuff, and then the 4th one that's supposed to be the balancing and make everything firm and solidify our lives with good, that's the one he takes away. So when you have a lot of people out there teaching what sounds great, and please don't misconstrue it. I don't believe 99.999% of the people who are doing it have any malintent. But like you and I, from thousands of years back, when it all started in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, do you think Adam and Eve had malintent? You think they really thought, yes, if they eat of the tree of knowledge, good and evil, they're going to die, death, pain, suffering, and chaos is going to start in the world? Of course they didn't think that. But by listening to the opponent, it happened. It happened. So you and I want to make sure that we are very clear and conscious what we're listening to, what we understand, how we follow, and what it is. And that for me is why it's so essential to understand that our teachers, the Rav and Karen Berg, had teachers, Rav Branwein, who had a teacher, Rav Ashlag. You don't have to go further than that. Anyone who studies who Rav Ashlag was, that's enough. The greatest Kabbalist in the last 500-600 years, maybe thousands of years. So if he created a Kabbalah center, which is now 100 years old, and he passed on the responsibility and the privilege to Rav Branwein to continue that lineage that goes back to Rabbi Shimon, the author of the Zohar, and then Rav Branwein chose Rav Berg to continue the work, then you know it has to be the real stuff in every detail. And that for me has always been, since I understood it about class 5 of Kabbalah 1 back then anything that's not in alignment, should I tell you the story? Okay, we didn't even do our affirmation yet. Anything that's not in alignment, I would be very cautious to implement it in life. So I'll tell you real quick, and then we have to do our affirmation and go on. Okay, channel 26. When I first came, I had shared with you over the years here, I was 10 years in these other spiritual new thought teachings, which were really great. Took me from the grief of my mother's death into opening my mind, seeing, you know, a new perspective on life, more of the spiritual thing. But I had come to believe life worked a certain way from all the books that I'd read. They're very nice, well-intentioned. So I come to the Kabbalah Center, and for the first 4 classes, I'm thinking, if I don't see eye to eye, as I would call it, with Rabbi Shimon, the Zohar, then my understanding up to that point, because I had been 10 years in this other teaching and teaching it, so if I didn't see eye to eye, for me it was, I have to bring Rabbi Shimon to my perspective, if you're following me. After about the 5th class, when I understood really the Zohar is the blueprint of the universe, and Rav Shimon, probably one of a handful of the highest people ever to be brought into this world, then I realized if I wasn't seeing eye to eye with Rav Shimon or the Zohar, I had to move. Not try and move Rabbi Shimon to me, but move me to Rabbi Shimon. So as this all came about, because next Sunday night is the first day of the cosmic new year of humanity. It is the birthday of humanity. And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, black, white, yellow, brown, whatever. It's the birthday of humanity. And therefore we are all set on the scales of Libra, which is why I have joy to tell everybody on earth is a Libra, no matter how you were born this lifetime, because we're all created on the first day of Libra. So it doesn't matter if a person doesn't understand that in the cosmos next Sunday night, they are being set on a scales, like balancing your checkbook, right? Whatever you did up to that point, that's it. You can't, that's it. You add up all your deposits, you subtract all your withdrawals, whatever shows up, shows up. And if you forgot some withdrawals or you forgot even some deposits or whatever, it doesn't matter. There's going to be that accounting. So people who don't know what's happening next week, because this opponent has made us believe it's religious. And in this case, it's particularly the Jewish New Year. Because of course, there's a Jewish New Year, a Christian New Year, a Buddhist New Year, a Hindu New Year, a Muslim New Year, a Gregorian New Year. Everybody's got their own New Year. But as I often think about, when there's a full moon out there, how many of you can say, well, that's the Christian new moon, so it's not for me, or full moon, it's not for me. Or that's the Jewish full moon, it's not for me. Or maybe that's the atheist full moon, not for me. The full moon is the full moon. You can't change that. So Kabbalah, as we teach here, is teaching us the same cosmic technology. So a person either doesn't believe it, doesn't matter, it's not going to not affect them because they don't believe. And if they're just unaware, it's also not going to be exempting them. Next Sunday night, technically through Tuesday night, every person being put on those scales. So I encourage you, if you don't understand it, don't just dismiss it, but at least go on Kabbalah.com, look up some of the Rosh Hashanah, head of the year preparation classes, and understand, at least investigate before you just continue to dismiss it. Unless your life is so amazing and you are so blissed out with no challenges, no chaos, no worry, no stress, then don't bother. But if you have any of those things, at least check it out and see. Wouldn't you like to make an informed decision? How many of you like to read a contract that you're going to rent a house for $5,000 a month and you don't want to see all the details of the contract? You don't care what they put in there. You just want to sign, say, sure, I'll pay $5,000. You want to know all the little details that you may have to add, another expense and another expense, or things that you didn't realize were going to be there. Would you like that? Or you want to know everything that's in the contract? See, they're already in Libra. Some people not sure they want to know. Right? The Rav used to say, people say, oh, ignorance is bliss, ignorance is bliss. No, we understand that's not true. So what would the Rav always say? Yeah, ignorance is bliss, except for the guy who's walking in the middle of the street in the intersection, even they're in the crosswalk, but they don't realize there's a big Mack truck coming down that lost its brakes. Tell me now, ignorance is bliss. Yeah, up until the next world, right? It was blissful up to that point. But it's not really bliss, is it? No, that's the whole point of what we're doing here. We're giving every human being on earth who wants to come and learn the most powerful and amazing wisdom of how to take control over your life. Not manipulate other people. How to manipulate yourself, yes. How to manipulate others, no. Not at all. You try and do that. Let me ask you. Okay, wow. Think back on all the times you tried to manipulate people. Control, even your kids. You love them extremely and you want them to do the right thing and the things you think are so good for them, and really with all your love. Has it always worked? What's the saying? How'd that work out for you? Right? Did it always work? your friends, your business people, did they always do everything you wanted? No. So if you think about what's suddenly going to change, you think because you're here, I would like to say, but I can't say, you think because you're here in the Kabbalah Center, and we're learning now Spiritual Sunday, suddenly, magically, every person on earth is going to listen to you, do what you want, the way you want, how you want, etc. Not going to change. Why should it change? The only thing that hasn't changed enough is people taking responsibility for their own actions. Yet, I think most of us learn those things, or at least we're being told, why do your parents punish you? Why did your parents punish you? Good question, right? Because somehow in their mind, you weren't taking responsibility for your actions. Right? Johnny, why did you do that? Well, Mary made me this, or my sister did this, or my brother this, or suddenly you're blaming everyone else for why you did what you did. And even in the simplest way with loving parents, we're not talking about parents who may be whatever, not so caring and whatever like that, but even caring. No, you are punished. Why? Because you didn't take responsibility for your action. So now we're adults. So it's almost like, what does the opponent tell us? Now you really don't have to take responsibility for your action because everybody else is an adult. And they should know better than to do that to you, say that to you, act that way to you. And therefore you have the right to lose total control of your life, give it away to that nasty person who just said or did whatever they said or did that bothered you. And then you wonder why they're controlling your life and it's not as blissful as you hoped it would be. Okay. For those of you online, let's go. I don't want to forget it. We are going to strengthen our consciousness. Maybe. Hello? Oh, there we go. Our affirmation. Let's add to what we just spoke about so it stays ingrained in our mind. We'll say it together. Consciousness is everything. I raise my consciousness today to see the miracles and wonders of life. I commit myself to behave with greater love, compassion, and kindness towards all human beings. What's it say after I commit? Oh, myself. No, I commit that they should treat me with greater love, kindness, and compassion. No, I commit myself to behave towards them, all human beings, with greater love, kindness, and compassion. So here we go, because now I have to speed it up a little bit. You ever heard the term, let bygones be bygones? That was water under the bridge. That's yesterday's news. Or here's the best. It's in the past. What can you do about it? So we're going to see today, is that a true statement or is it a false statement? That there's nothing you can do about your past. So for those of you who are new online or here, let's remind ourselves, fundamental concept. The Creator created us, the soul of humanity, and there was one, filled us with the light of the Creator. The power to create heaven on earth, to create a perfect world of 8 billion perfectly behaving people, that each one taking their responsibility to have greater love, kindness, and compassion, as we just affirmed. Unfortunately, we forgot that we have that power in us, and that the only reason we left what's called the endless world to create this physical world with all these people, the only reason we left is just to take the light in our soul, shine it out to everybody else. Take responsibility. It's my free will. I have it inside me. You can't do it. You can't pull it out of me. You can encourage me to let it out. You can support me to let it out, and vice versa, me for you. But I have to let my light out. You have to let your light out. It's our choice. It's our free will. So, as we also learn, we injected, and if you're new, let me just start with this. When I watch my kids play video games, every video game has some kind of an opponent. Because if there's no opponent, then the game is not fun. I mean, imagine, some kind of sports game even, let's say, but there's nobody on the other side of the field, the other side of the net, or like this, and all you do, imagine ping pong. You hit the ball, you get the point. You hit the ball, you get the point. You hit the ball, you get the point. Whatever, 21 points, you're the victor. Do you really feel victory and satisfaction? No. Do you feel triumph? No. Why? Because there was no opponent. You just hit the ball and that was that. I know. I can hear the opponent already saying, yeah, that's how it should be, right? Your life should just be that way. You walk into a business, money pours out. Everybody comes to your store, your service, or whatever like this, right? You walk out in public and suddenly your soulmate drops out of the heavens right in front of you. Here I am. Yeah, we love it that way for 5 minutes. And then like that game, after you won the first game, 21-0, it'd be great. The second game, you'd be bored already. So we, not the creator, and there is no devil. We put an opponent programmed in our head, and it's programmed that our ability is to beat it, and our mission is to beat it. But we also have to understand it's playing a good game. It plays a good game because we programmed it. The same thing. So let's say you have your ping pong game, and you program an opponent on the other side, so you see an opponent, but it just stands in one place with its hands crossed. No ping pong paddle, now you hit the ball. So there's an opponent, but they're not playing very good, you still wouldn't feel victory, would you? Or let's say it even swung at the ball, but 21 times it missed every time. So it almost looks like they're playing the game, but they're not really playing the game. Would you feel victory now? Chaim, there was an opponent. The opponent actually swung at the ping pong ball. You'd still say, that's not fun. You want the one where it's a challenge to win, where you have to really pull from inside you, some kind of skill, talent, hand-eye coordination, something to win. So we program that opponent to do what? To block us from sharing our light. That's all. In every way, shape, or form, whether it's out of jealousy, anger, greed, ego, fear, insecurity, guilt, shame, whatever. It doesn't matter why. It's just don't share your light. Keep it hiding inside you. So this is what I want to put in our head, because I want to pick up, and if you don't have the book, and I'm going to tell you the name of it, just don't take it back to tradition. It's not a book on the devil, but the book is actually called Satan. The Kabbalistic Aramaic word, Satan, adversary. If you want to find out the playbook of your parasite opponent, that's the book for you. Every page you'll see a reflection of yourself, how you've acted in the past, how you gave away your power. But I want to talk about one particular way today. And it's funny because the last 20 years or so, a lot of people now talking about it. Being in the now. Make sure you're in the now. Make sure in the now. So how does this parasitic opponent, and I like to call it a parasite because it tries to suck our energy, tries to make us give away our energy, can't take it. It can only taunt us to give it away. Did I make that clear? No person, that programming we call the opponent in our head, has no power to take the light from us. It only has the capability to play mind games with us, to tempt us to give it away out of actions of anger or jealousy or fear, insecurity, like that. That's how it takes our energy. We give it away. It doesn't take it. Very important. Those people, when they act like they act, if you hear yourself say, well, they made me do it, that's a lie. Nobody made you do it. You, in your own mind game, decided to give it away. So the tactic is, when things upset us and trigger us, is to go back to the past. Oh, here it goes again. Look what's happening. Or maybe something happens and suddenly it starts triggering your guilt and shame. Look what I did. How did I do that? I was so foolish. I was so stupid. So as long as a person is traveling to the past, they're not in the now and they're not going to change their life. Because all they're going to do is let the past continue today. Same thing over and over again. Repetitive, negative patterns. We all have them. Hopefully, if you've been in the center and practicing, implementing what we learn here, you remove them more and more and more over the time that you've been in the center, and hopefully will continue. But this is one of the tactics. Go back to the past, go back to the past, go back to the past. So what's Kabbalah teaching us? Because if it's a tactic of the opponent, doesn't that mean it's false? Right? If you go back to the past, like he says, what can you do about it? All you can do is feel bad about it. But then there's what we teach in Kabbalah. Your past is affecting you. Your past is who you are living right now. In fact, if you think about it, who are we now? This moment, who are we? We're the sum total of every person we've been since you were born in this lifetime. So everything you did since day one has all created who you are now. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your way of looking at life, your perspectives, how you've defined people, how you've defined yourself. So we do learn here how to repair your past. So in one way, it sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? The opponent's going to take you to your past when you're triggered so that you don't change your behavior today. Now I'm telling you, and we will come up with, I will give you some of the technology, and I also want to do a short meditation, as we've been doing week by week, how we're going to repair the past and give ourselves a better future. But we also want to understand what's the difference between the way the opponent takes us back to the past and the way you and I are now about to go to our past Kabbalistically. Just checking to see if you're ready. Are you ready out there? Some of you, okay. So let me start this way, a little different than I thought I was going to. So I have here, I know you can't see it very well, but I have here a little scar. When I was about 9 years old, which was a few years ago, I was 9 years old, and I was making a model airplane, and that, back then, they had paint, you could actually paint the model. So I've got this bottle of paint, and I'm trying to open it, and I guess either I did or one of my older brothers had used the paint before, so now the dripping of paint was locking up the top, right? It dried. So I thought I was going to be smart. So I go out to the garage, and I take a linoleum knife, and I'm trying to, scrape the paint away so I can open the top of the jar and paint my model airplane. Well, of course, as I'm going with the linoleum knife, cut myself right here. A good cut. So, of course, I run into the house. My parents take me down to the emergency room where I knew all the doctors, because until I was 13, I was probably at least 2 or 3 times a month in the emergency room. Nothing really major, but very accident-prone. Cutting myself, burning myself, sticking myself, falling and straining something, spraining something, like that. So we were on first-name terms, I must tell you. So we go and fix it, and here's the scar. Now, some years later, I still have the scar. So for me, it's a very important metaphor to understand the scars that we've come with, the people who broke your heart, the people who cheated on you in business, the deals that went by. How many of you don't have to raise your hand because it's an obvious yes, how many of you wish you had invested in, I don't even want to say because I don't know what they're going to cut the recording here, but some of those stocks that you could have bought for $2, $1, 50 cents, $3, that, zoomed up to 1,000, right? Don't you wish you had bought some of those? Or more recently, don't you wish you had bought some of the cryptocurrency when somebody first told you about it and it was a nickel, a dime? Somebody told me that there were pizza parlors back in 2009, 10, 11, something like that were giving away the more well-known crypto coin as a prize for video games or whatever, buying a pizza. So they were giving it away because they were like pennies. Imagine if you had 2 or 3 or 4 of those. You're following me like that? So we all look back and say, I wish I could have, I had that chance, etc. So those things are still bothering us, like the scar. Are they not? Okay, you and I have learned how to move forward, and we're looking for new opportunities today because we've come to understand the Creator is always giving us opportunities. But we also want to remember that those things still have impact on us. Every now and then, I have to tell you, I look around and I say, Wouldn't it be nice? Someone told me about one of them when they were at $1, maybe $5. I'm thinking, you know what? Even if I invested $100, even if they were $10 and I bought 10 at $10, and then they went up to tens of thousands of dollars, would it be nice? I could retire. No, just kidding. I don't ever plan on retiring, so don't worry. So we have those things. Now, if I can ask you, maybe we'll go a little deeper. Close your eyes and just think. Think back to some of the traumatic experiences that you had, some of the difficult times, some of the painful times. And yes, I will ask you, allow yourself to feel the pain, the hurt. See it clearly in your mind. And see what it awakened in you, whether it was anger, fear, resentment, or guilt or shame. Some of those painful moments are the things we did to other people. And then allow yourself to see how the emotion that woke up, the hurt, the resentment, brought you to similar experiences more than once. That you can see similar situations taking place again and again. And I will ask you, if you're ready to, and desiring to fix it, to change it, to acknowledge the pain that it added along the way. Every experience you had, adding another layer of pain, another layer of hurt, and sadly, most importantly and impactfully, a layer that blocked the light of your soul. That somehow you allowed yourself to be imprisoned, thinking it was for protection, but imprisoned yourself in some way or another, not to feel, not to act, not to be open, not to be so helpful or kind or giving. And then open your eyes and understand the impact that it still has on you today. So like my scar, okay, maybe a little bit, and hopefully like those experiences you had, the impact is lessened, right? It's not so traumatic, you've moved forward. But for things that I've experienced along the way, I realized maybe 8, 9 years ago that I was allowing myself to survive. Became a nice person. A lot of it didn't seem to have an impact in my life, but I look at it as survival. And about 8, 9 years ago, I realized I don't want to survive anymore. I want to thrive. I want the scars to disappear. I want to be more of that pure and perfect being of light that the Creator created me to be and created you to be and gave you the power to be. And set that pattern inside you. So it's not enough. And if you think about it really objectively, the world has been kicking us where we sit to get out of survival mode. And with all the challenges in the world today, there are people who think, oh, if they could just survive. Not anymore. It's you and I, we need this awakening. The past has been trying to hold us back. This opponent in our head, every time we're triggered, wants to take us back there, just to remember the hurt, to remember the pain. So what we will do, we will then hold on to it. We will miss the opportunity in the present moment to heal and change our destiny, to overcome it. And we'll just try and survive through it. And then what happens? And think, it's happening, I would wager to every person on earth, that there are things awakening in you now that you have worked on, and somewhere along the line you thought it was gone. You really fixed that. You really completely let go of that hurt, that guilt, that shame, whatever it may have been. And in the last 2-3 years, suddenly it's showing up out of nowhere. And that parasite in your head says, oh, you got rid of that, so it's got to be the people today or the situation today that re-injured you. It's the scar, many years. It's healed, right? You can hardly see it, but you can still see it. So let's say it's 80% gone, but there's still 20%. And you and I often remind ourselves that God didn't give us less than 100%. The Creator created us with 100% light inside of us. We are pure and perfect beings of light. Everybody is a pure and perfect being of light. We have to keep remembering that, because that opponent's going to make us look at people. You look in the mirror. I see things I don't do 100% sharing, light-like, but I've come to learn, don't beat the person in the mirror up anymore. Just look and say, okay, you made that mistake, let's go fix it. And that's what I wanted this Spiritual Sunday to be about, because like we said in the beginning, if you're just tuning in, go back and watch it afterwards. On next Sunday night, every human being on earth, whether they know it or not, are going to be set in the scales of Libra and balanced. All the good we did and all the bad we did. And whatever that result is, that's going to be the pattern for the year. So you and I are learning this month how to cleanse ourselves. So we're already putting more on the deposit side and taking away from the withdrawal side. And then the technology that the Kabbalists gave us to do in those 2 days are ways to take more of the withdrawals and transform them into deposits. So when those 2 days are over, we are really in the black. We're really way ahead. And then the rest of the year is adding on to that. You follow? Wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't you like to have a year's income in 2 days? Yes or yes? That's it? You're so enthusiastic. What's your income? $5? You don't really care? Okay, $10? What's a big deal? Right? Wouldn't you like to have a year's income in 2 days? Yes. Then you could take it easy, or you could do the Kabbalistic thing, and you could work harder for the year. So instead of having just 1 year in the year, maybe you get 2 or 3 years in that next year. So now you're 3 or 4 or 5 times ahead. That's what Kabbalah is teaching us. How to keep moving and collecting collectively, exponentially. What do they call it? Compound interest? You don't know either, huh? You know what I'm saying? That's it, where it just keeps adding and adding and adding exponentially. That's what we have the power to do. But I want us to remember, we have to go back to the past and not carry the past with us. You know, people say, did you ever have a 2-minute relationship with somebody, and at the end of the relationship, oh my God, he or she, they had so much baggage. They were carrying so much baggage with them. Which means what? They were loving and kind and happy and joyous and affectionate and caring? No. It means they were whatever, angry, upset, possessive, jealous, all the bad stuff, right, from all their past relationships. Well, hello, let's ask ourselves, how did they pack the bags? When did they pack that baggage? 20 years ago in this thing, 10 years ago in something else, and they've been carrying that baggage for all that time. So who brought it with them? And what does the opponent say? No, it's in the past. You can't do anything about it. Except the opponent wants to dredge it up to just make people feel bad today. So they miss the opportunity in front of them to make their lives better, to act and bring more of that light out of them. Because our job is to defeat the opponent. If it's telling us to take and get, the way we defeat it is by stronger sharing. Share to the next higher level. Which means what? Think of the places that right now in your mind are in the dark, the person you have a little resentment, or the one you want to forget about because you have a little guilt and shame. So you almost want to You ever seen people walk into a social event and then there's their ex, whatever the X means, and they're kind of looking down. They don't want to look, right? Because they feel bad about them. They feel bad maybe what they did to them. So that's what we do. We hide our past. No, I don't want to look at the past, what I did, how I acted, maybe in my case, to my mom in particular. I've shared, with you, and I don't want to share it today, but I've done things that I had great guilt about, and I had to go back and fix it, which I will share with you, and we'll have a meditation, how to do it today, but how to do it. But it was easy. In my case, I wasn't trying to ignore it. It just disappeared from my memory. That opponent was kind of hiding it until one day I had a meditation that it showed up right in front of my eyes, because I was asking the Creator, I was asking my soul, show me what's holding me back. Show me one of the things that's blocking me. And boom, right in front of my eyes was this situation with my mom. About 2 years before she died, whatever I did, and I had, because I didn't realize I'd done anything bad. It was completely out of my insensitive, and not in an overt way, but insensitive towards her. I didn't think about what I was doing, what impact it had on her emotionally in that moment. It just seemed like a sensible, logical thing to do. And that's how my opponent was getting sensible and logical. So I didn't even think about it. Thank goodness for the center, that after years of being in the center, it's like adding the light, brings up the darkness. How many of you ever washed a dish? Or no, let's wash a glass, because it's easier to see. You ever wash a glass? Or you just, leave it dirty and put it back in your cabinet? So when you wash it, think simple. At the bottom of the glass is whatever the stuff you want to wash out, right? So as you pour the water in, what happens to stuff that's at the bottom of the glass you want to get rid of? It comes out to the top of the other side, and ideally enough water coming in, it pushes it out and cleans it. So you and I, who are people who want to be better, making an effort to do more, scanning the Zohar, sharing the Zohar, giving donations, spreading, supporting the scholarship fund to bring more people into your spiritual army of the light by helping them to come learn what we do here in the center. Our garbage has to come to the surface. Don't think because you're pouring in light and awakening the light that all the garbage just disappears. No, the glass, some of it's got to come up to the top. So now you can keep going and get rid of it. So don't let your opponent say, I've been so good, I share, I give, I help, and there's still garbage. Yeah, because like that situation in my life, I wouldn't have remembered. It's hidden inside. Nothing is not recorded in our soul. Nothing. And here and there, our soul will bring it out, so we'll remember and we'll be able to fix it. Because transformation turns darkness to light, chaos to order, curses to blessings. How many of you wake up in the morning and ask for more curses? Anybody? Okay, crazy person. Okay, we got it. Fit. Yeah, exactly. Fits right here in the center. We're all a little crazy, right? Most of us, we say, give me blessings. But we've also come to learn to have the blessing. We have to take our garbage, where we put our blessed light inside the garbage. That's got to show up. Okay. 1964, I believe it was, when there was a garbage strike in New York City. There were people who packed their garbage in a box, put birthday wrapping on it, and left it in their car with open windows. Because they knew somebody was going to come along, see the open window, and steal what looked like a gift. So you and I, we, over every reactive thing we did, every time we acted in a non-light sharing way, but we acted in a give me instant gratification way, we took some of our light, we packed it in a box, and the box was the anger, the fear, the jealousy, the ego, and now we say, give me my blessings. It's inside the box. So this is why our soul brings us to some form of challenge, difficulty, quote, garbage. Because we learn in the center how to unpack it and bring the gift through the garbage, the light through the darkness. That's why the Zohar says very simply, light will only come out of darkness. It can't come out of the light, because what's light is already light. The light we're missing is in the darkness. So we have to be willing and able to go inside there. If you're learning in the center, at least Kabbalah 1, you're already able. The real question is, are you willing? That's what we have to start asking ourselves now. Are we willing to go through whatever we need to go through to get all of our blessings? because it's easy. How many of you, when the lottery starts, you go, oh, I wish I could win the lottery? And as the old joke goes, but you didn't buy a ticket. Right? I want to win, I want to win, I want to win. God, why aren't I winning? God says, well, so we do the same thing in various ways. So I want us to understand, and I would like to, because time is going, so I like you to think about this, because there is a way. You can go online, you can work with your teacher if you have a Kabbalah teacher or whatever, but it's something called Tikkun healing. Tikkun is a similar word to karma, which means all the mistakes we made in the past. So there's a way to heal it, but we have to be willing to go back what appears to be the past. But as I think you're getting it in a spiritual way, in the true positive way, there is no past. We are today carrying the scars of all those things that we thought happened back then. The opponent's job is to make us go back then and say, oh, but that was 20 years ago. What can I do now? You and I are learning, what do you mean it was 20 years ago? No, like the scar, it's happening now. I feel it now. I'm limited now. Think of all your non-like beliefs about people, places, and things, including yourself. Those are the scars. Those have to be healed. Those have to be transformed. That's what Tikkun healing is. Okay, so let me start like this, and you can write it down. I'm going to give you time, I know here, and I should have thought to put paper out here. Write on your phones. I'm sure most of you know that because you look more technological than me, but it's important. I want to give you things to start working with before next week. Those of you online, take a piece of paper out. These are questions that we'll make use of in our short meditation, and if you want to do more, that's what we have, either the service called Tikkun Healing, which you can arrange, right, or talk with your teacher. We'll use this name, but things to start thinking about, okay? Things you want to change. So write down, who are you now? Describe yourself now. Who are you in your relationship? Who are you relative to your friends? Who are you relative to work? And most importantly, who are you relative to you? Who are you relative to you? And now write down, who do you want to be in your relationship? Who do you want to be as a friend? Who do you want to be at work? And who do you want to be to yourself? And I would encourage you to go over that again and again. Even if you'll start the process, it's always good to revisit those questions. Because every time we make any transformation, there's going to be a whole new perspective. A whole new perspective. So let me give you a little bit of the process so that you can start. And again, if you want help and support, we do have people who do the service called Tikkun healing. Right? If you have a teacher, you can talk to them about it. So basically, just to get started, you scan your Zohar. If you don't have a Zohar, there is no way, shape, or form. If you're here in the center for more than 5 minutes, you should be without a Zohar. Get the sacred Zohar, which is the whole Aramaic of the Zohar. You want to study, get the Aramaic English or Aramaic Spanish we have, right? But get a Zohar. You want to scan the section called Acharei Mot, which in the scanning chart is for forgiveness. So you're going to scan that section, awakening the light that's inside you to help heal and transform and forgive. And then in your mind's eye, you take a trip back in time, although as we now understand it's not really, but you go back to that person, that version of you that either did that something that you feel the guilt and the shame, or was done to you. You want to go back to that version and you want to inject light. The light you've just awakened by the scanning, you go back and you inject it into that version of you. Give that person some consciousness to help them understand whatever you know will help them see things in a new way. That they won't be as triggered and reactive to create that blockage. So you're going back, also forgive them. Forgive that version of you for whatever it is you did. Because that will help remove the blockage. And in essence, if you think about like an artery, if there's an artery that's blocked and then it's unblocked, the blood starts to flow. So if a person has blocked some of their light 25 years ago by some guilt or reactivity, anger, jealousy, whatever it may have been, when that's unblocked, suddenly there's a new flow of 25 years worth of light shows up today. So keep that in mind, the blessing that comes from it. And then if you want to add another piece, what I also encourage you is help that version of you to turn around and look at that person or that situation that activated this reactivity and send the light, either of apology and refill them with the light you took from them by your negative behavior, or send them the light of forgiveness so you unblock yourself. Don't let the opponent tell you, well, if you forgive them, then you're saying what they did is okay, you're almost endorsing their behavior. No, the forgiveness is to free you from the prison you trapped yourself in at that moment. Take your blockage away. That's really what it's about. And then, for me, it's always important through those people or that situation to send light out to the rest of the planet. Because as we said the last number of weeks, reminding ourselves, every person on earth is a reflection of me. So I want every part of me to be enlightened. And if I wake up the light in people, it takes away automatically pieces of their darkness, pieces of their darkness, pieces of their negativity. And remembering, the key is you go back and you heal yourself, your consciousness. So it doesn't matter. Somebody did a really nasty thing to you and you hold on to hurt for years and years and you put yourself in that prison of hurt. You want to be freed from it. So you need to go back and apologize or forgive yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself, whatever you hold will show up in your life. There's this very nice story of the great Baal Shem Tov. In the 17th century, one of the most amazing Kabbalists, and he had a student who was very affluent. But as sadly was the sort of tradition of the time for people who thought they were being spiritual, they would, sleep on the floor, put rocks in their shoes, like they felt that tormenting the body was the way to let the soul be free and have a good life. The Baal Shem Tov came along and said, no, joy and happiness, right? God is happy. You have to enjoy life. You have to connect to the light. You have to be joyous and happy and celebrate. So he told his student, he says, stop with the rocks, stop sleeping on the floor, go, make yourself a nice meal, wear nice clothes, and so that now he thought he was sort of released from what he had been doing, so he goes off. Now, the Baal Shem Tov, some of the other students came along and said, Master, this is not really what you teach us. You teach us if we have, extra money or whatever, we should be giving it to help, people have to be, back in those times, ransomed out of prison and things like that, like help people who can't afford to make a wedding, help them make a wedding, all these things. And he says, yes, that's true. He says, but here's a person who's been given wealth. And because they torture and torment themselves with the rocks in the shoes and, sleeping on the ground or whatever, when somebody comes along and knocks on their door and says, hey, would you help us, ransom these people out of, debtor's prison, as they had back then, or things like that, the guy, because he's tormenting himself, he says, no, if I can torment myself, they can do the same thing. So he wouldn't give, not because he wasn't giving, but if he was hurting, so they're hurting, what's the big deal? But now when he's going to enjoy nice food, nice clothes, a more affluent lifestyle, now the collector of charity is going to knock on the door and say, hey, can you help us? Right? Can you help us change the world? Can you help us change these people's lives? Now he's going to see the difference between what he's experiencing, the comfort, the joy, and the happiness, and the good things he's got, and now he's going to feel the pain of those people who are in debtor's prison, or whatever, that need that help, and then he's going to be giving. So the more we will forgive ourselves, the more we will be more willing and able and motivated to share what we have. The money the Creator gave us, the talents and ability the Creator gave us, love, kindness, and compassion, forgiveness, and tolerance that the Creator gave us the ability. But if we're beating ourselves up, then the opponent has an easy job to just beat everybody else up, right? And especially because when you look with your physical eyes, you see they did it. They did those nasty things. So you're completely justified, except spiritually. Your soul is saying, no, in that box, or your light rather, in that box of negativity. Now the universe is giving you a chance to open the box, break out with the negativity, and bring out the light again. Don't be foolish. Don't be foolish. And that's what we want to do. So as we're waking this up, the more we will love ourselves, the more we'll love other people. So we've all done negative things. The time is now. Now. Not only because Sunday night through Tuesday night is an opportunity to set a pattern for the year, but just cosmically the time we're in. It's the time to now transform ourselves, forgive ourselves, and begin forgiving other people. Let go. What do? Send light to let go. You can't just say, I let go. If you don't transform it, it's not let gone. Can't release it. You have to send light to replace the darkness. You send the light because we want to act with the purity of thoughts, words, and actions that the Creator gave us. Because the Creator set out a pattern, set a form in motion of perfect people living in a perfect world called heaven on earth. So the current you is one state. The future you, that perfect you, is looking back metaphorically on us and saying, hey, I want you to live into this perfection. I, the perfect you, are waiting for the current you to change, to shift, to get yourself out of that prison, to unblock yourself so that we can live together, you and me, and you and all of us, to live in that form that the Creator set, this thing called heaven on earth, this power of the Garden of Eden, where there's only peace and love and joy and compassion and happiness. It's in our hands now. It's up to us. We have the ways and means. We have the power. We have the technology. We have the tools. What I would like us to all wake up as of now is the desire to make it happen. Envision that future you looking back on you and say, this is what you could have. This is what you can live in. Heaven on earth, the Garden of Eden. It's just waiting for you to let go, to move forward, and to live into your absolute perfection. God bless. Okay, quiet. So let's do our offering. I know it's a little longer than usual, but I'd like to do the offering because we need your help. We cannot change the planet. We cannot Spread the Zohar. We cannot bring people by scholarship to come learn. We can't just support even physically the necessities of the center just to maintain what we're doing, no less grow it. So this is why we always take our time now to bless our offering. Yeah, let me put it here. So it's online for those of you online. So please, those of you who are here, just hold your offering. Whatever your heart's telling you, give with love, give with desire to remove the blockages, to remove the pain and suffering. Just to appreciate, to have greater clarity. Everything that I am, everything that I have, everything that we've achieved is because the Creator implanted in us a piece of itself. The more blessed we feel, the more gratitude we have for these blessings, the faster they will grow, because we are increasing the value of them in our own mind, in our own consciousness, and in our own heart. And so we want to inject our light and our love, our gratitude and our blessing, that through the projects of the center, that for 100 years have held every human being on the planet unconditionally in our heart, in our mind, in our desire to bring this illumination, this technology of the soul to every person. And we inject our gratitude to be able to empower the acceleration of this process, to remove the force of divisiveness, chaos, and discord. By your empowering the light that shines out of us to awaken the light that's in every human being on earth, so that as quickly as possible, every person wakes up to the light in their heart and soul, wakes up to their true capabilities, understanding the mission that they came into this world to simply reveal their piece of heaven on earth. And we're also grateful to know that the more we share our light, the more we give and extend our light, the more will come back. And together we say, Amen. Amen. Let them hear you in Hong Kong or South Africa with people all over. So we're going to do now, and I know we'll just do a short meditation, but this is one of the 72 names, Mem Vav Mem. Those of you who are new to this, is to remember that the Aramaic letters are primordial structures. They're not created by man in any way, shape, or form. As the light comes out of the endless world, it automatically takes on these shapes. Similar to when the scientists will tell us that the Big Bang, right, ejected protons, neutrons, and electrons. No human being created them. They just come from that ball of matter that blew up called the Big Bang. Well, the thing that caused the Big Bang and the thing that allowed that ball of matter to exist is the light of the Creator. So when it comes into the physical world, it takes on forms. Again, what did the opponent do? He says, no, these are Hebrew letters. That belongs to the Jewish people, and therefore if they're not Jewish or they don't like the Judaism they grew up in, it has nothing to do with them. Nope. Like we said all today, basically, you don't believe or you don't accept it or you don't use it, doesn't mean it changes the facts. These shine the light of the Creator. Since the eyes are the window to the soul, it just goes right into our soul and awakens the light in us. And that's why you don't have to understand them. Just look at them. Let their shapes be engraved in your mind's eye. And then as you're setting yourself into the meditative positions, think of one situation in your life that you want to heal. One blockage, one experience. So sit comfortably in your seat, feet on the floor, hands on your lap. Taking a few deep breaths, breathing in through the nose, hold the breath for a moment, exhale through the mouth. Just allow yourself, as you're circulating the physical air that carries the spiritual light, just relax, open your mind, open your heart. Just know that the infinite light of the Creator is shining on you 24/7. It's available all the time, everywhere. And so let's see this structure of the Mem Vav Mem, the combination of light force particles for cleansing the soul, taking the dirt off. See them radiating the light of cleansing by simply being portals, conduits from the light of the endless. And bring this energy, Mem Vav Mem, directly into your heart and soul. That's awakening the power of cleansing, removing the metaphysical garbage. Whatever was created in that situation that you're holding in your mind. And see that version of you that was in that situation. And with the support of this Mem Vav Mem energy, bring yourself face to face with that version, with the you of that time. Extend light from your heart and soul to their heart and soul. Forgive them. Give them strength, a new awareness. Help them understand how they created the blockage, how the power that you're sharing with them and the consciousness will help them remove that blockage. Because there is so much good waiting for them. Even show them a vision of the good things that happened over all the years from that time till now. And awaken the enthusiasm for even greater good, as they will forgive and they will apologize to the people or that situation that they created the blockage. And now support them. Support that version of you to send light from their heart and soul to the heart and soul of whoever is in that situation. Focusing on the light, being more aware of the light in yourself that's now shining out, that gives you greater clarity of the light, the true godlike person inside that shell of the person who either did the negative thing or was the recipient of the negativity you did. So see that as you're beaming light out of you to remove those blockages, that spiritual mud, that it's also helping to cleanse the other people of their negativity, their spiritual mud, their false beliefs, clearing them of the influence of that opponent in their head as is cleared in yours. Seeing clearly the greater light shining out of that previous version of you, and feel it extending from then to now. That you feel greater strength, clarity, love, kindness, humility, gratitude, forgiveness, and apology. Feel the greater sense of joy and happiness that's awakened in you as light is flowing from years back to the current you. And the current you allow to send light out to every human being on earth, to their heart and soul. And notice as you do that, that you're given a glimpse of that perfect soul that the Creator implanted in you, of your pure and perfect light beingness. That strengthens your certainty in the existence of the perfection in you, that is you. That increases your enthusiasm and motivation to live into and manifest that perfection. And strengthens your desire to pull all the rest of you that's in the 8 billion physical bodies on this planet, to pull those souls also with you, out of the mud, out of the darkness, into the light of peace, love, joy, happiness, and eternal bliss. Appreciate and give thanks for this new awareness. Thank your pure and perfect self, the peace of the Creator, for this vision, this opportunity, this experience. And together we'll take one more deep breath, anchoring it into our heart and soul. And as you exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Thank you all for joining us. Those of you here in Boca, those of you online. Just to remind you, please send me some of your, especially this, if you have another experience, if you have an experience of this transformation, please let me know. Share with me your questions that you may have about something that we said today or that you've heard in Spiritual Sunday. And those of you who would like to perhaps schedule a one-on-one meeting, we can do that. Just Facebook me or email me and let me know. We can arrange that. All right. Have an amazing week. Lots of light and blessings. It's great to have you here, and thank you. Thank you for your inspiration.
Thank you for joining us. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to this channel that you'll be notified when we post new videos. Share the video with your friends, they can also benefit. And check out the website, www.kabbalah.com. That's Kabbalah, for hundreds of articles and classes. Wish you an amazing day, and God bless.